of the day.
Yeah, and it is Nettle versus Oxygen EU. Nettle, being the sort of underdogs today, did a huge upset against Oxygen NA, and now they're against Oxygen EU in the semifinals, showing everyone that the top two teams can be taken down, and it's given them, a lot of people would argue, a more inherent advantage in their matchup in the semifinal, giving them a better shot at making it. And I want to see them play just as well as they did yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking for some good play from all the teams today. So with that being said, why don't you say we get into our first draft, Oxygen EU versus Nettle.
We can go straight into it. I am currently ready.
All right, so we've
And
got a Decker band from Oxygen EU, a Rampage from Nettle, and our first couple picks in Aurora, and then the Steel and Grux for Nettle. So already these teams are going at it. Just put some kind of background behind these first couple of decisions by the teams.
Well, a lot of teams prioritize high CC in the early stages of the game, the early pick ban phase. So Decker and Rampage are usually the number 1 and 2 picks across nearly every team. But with them two being banned, Oxygen elect to go for an Aurora has been a bit hit or miss recently. I feel like that's more of a comfort. They think they can do well. Eisen has shown that he can do well on the Aurora in the jungle. And then Ness will just go for the next two strongest picks. I mean, Grux jungle, incredibly fast, clear, and Steel. Steel can go offlane or in the support. Huge impact in team fights, and it just can't be understated there.
Yeah, something worth worrying about too is the ability that the Grux gives you to get some early OPs. Now that's something that Nettle, they've had a couple of good plays around, if it comes from taking it or stealing it from the other team. Could we possibly see also a Kwang coming into this lineup?
Yeah, Kwang does work in a majority of these lineups. There hasn't been a lot being revealed from either team. Kwang can still go in the offlane. For Nettle, you could put the Steel in the support. Same goes for Oxygen. You can still run Kwang in the offlane. It's not going to be too much of an issue. He's a strong overall pick in comps. You don't lose much by picking Kwang, but he's also not the best priority because his tether, his sword, is usually better used with follow up. So you need another character that can do the initial initiation.
Well, these next picks from Nettle, it looks like we're not going to be seeing a Kwang coming out as it is the Sparrow and Sevrog. So I think that takes care of most of the areas that Kwang could be played in. And what we see from Nettle is a very aggressive melee lineup with a lot of lockdown, and they are going to get into the face of Oxygen EU and try to take them out very quickly.
Yeah, it's an incredibly strong lineup. With how they've picked it, I suspect it's going to be Steel support. It fits the composition the best because Sevrog and Grux. Sevrog can still kind of go in the off lane. He can survive longer, or you send the Grux there. It allows for really safe laning. I mean, it fits their playstyle. They like to play incredibly aggressive in the early stages, as we've seen previously, and having triple bruiser at around that level 5 mark is going to be incredibly strong.
Well, the Kwang pickup is going to belong to Oxygen EU as they pick that up alongside of the Murdoch. And usually with the Murdoch, what we see is some kind of a stun with the long Umbrella Wall follow-up to it. That's probably going to come from the Aurora getting involved on the map for them. And it's usually been Eisen on that hero. He's extremely aggressive, so I would assume that as soon as Murdoch gets up to his level 5, which is probably going to be a little bit later than Eisen, we're probably going to see that combo getting into action all over the map, and there should be a huge amount of burst for Oxygen once they get that one online.
Yeah, the issue Oxygen will have is they're on a sort of ticking time clock. The later this game goes, Nettle are actually going to be stronger. The main reasoning behind that is that Aurora, we've seen before, the second we grab a purity sensor on the board, most likely Steel will probably grab that, along with a Hunter's Guild on the Sparrow. Oxygen loses a vast majority of their initiation. They're then heavily reliant on Muriel doing an aggressive reversal of fortune or Kwang landing a sword to tether them, which can also be removed as well.
So these guys are going to be very reliant on that early game pressure that they have. And Nettle, they've got a lot of things going for them. The last pickup is going to be the Oblapia, most likely Lieutenant Belka. And we've seen this a lot against the Howitzer whenever he just goes up in the air for the make it rain. You just pop the neural disruption on top of him, and he takes a huge amount of damage up there and probably isn't going to get back to Earth very safely at all. So picking up that Bellica last is a pretty strong counter to Talkflit's Howitzer, and we'll have to see how it works out for Nettle as they have what looks to be a pretty strong lineup here, and we've seen some excellent play from them yesterday. So we'll see how they do in this one. I think we're just about ready to get in game here. What do you say we just get into it?
I am ready, sitting at 5 seconds as well as usual.
All right, well, let's do it more than 5 seconds, then. Let's actually start it in 3, 2, 1, go. In our first match of the day, Oxygen EU, they're going to have Nerf on the Muriel. Talkflip handling the Howitzer. It's Ray playing a Kwang. We've got Klinghoffer. He's going to be on the Murdoch. Eisen is going to be the one handling the Aurora. And I also don't have textures on the ground here.
Neither do I. And on Nettle, we have Pachapa on that Grux, Emrak on the Spyro, Nick Eagle on the Severog, Ronnie Tube on that Steel, and Obopia on that Bellica.
He's rocking that purple skin like a bouse. And look at this stack from Oxygen U. They're going to be coming around the side here. They're not being scouted out just yet. And Steel might actually run right into him. Ronnie Tube could be in some trouble very quickly. That's a consecrated ground, not doing the damage, but the landmine is going to knock him right back in the middle of the Hoarfrost. And Ronnie Tube is going to the first blood. Nice execution from Oxygen EU to pick that one up. And they are going even further here. They are not finished at all. They want to get those wards out.
They're going to try grab some vision. Maybe take a camp or two here. Just deny Nettle that early game farming capabilities. I mean, really strong start. They took a different pathing. You don't see a lot of teams go through that side of the map. It can get scouted out fairly easily if you have like the carry sitting in the lane. But Nettle didn't have that. It must have been some sort of pre-planned thing from Oxygen, from watching replays, knowing where Nettle like to stay.
Oh, and these guys got to be super careful here. The big stack from Oxygen is still going on, but Nettle look like they want to get into the action. Ronnie Tube could take his second death of the game. He's getting surrounded, hit by the Hoarfrost. Smash and grab will pull Eisen back, and Ronnie Tube smack back with the landmine. Once again, that's his second death of the game. This guy's got to get it under control. Talkflip, he's going to be backing away on very low health. Pachapa chasing him down. Consecrate ground is going to keep Talkflip 5 alive for a little bit more, but Pachapa in with the death and the damage. Piercing shot also helping out there, as at least Nettle are able to strike back there, but Ronnie Tube, he's already not off to a good start at all.
Incredibly aggressive start coming out from Oxygen. Staying in that jungle, you could argue they might have overstayed their welcome, but they still trade for a 1-for-1 even in that 7-second fight. It does put Ronnie Tube really far behind. Still not having that shield slam. He's going to be hitting level 5 a lot later. And you're going to see the impact that will have when we reach that point in the game, when It's Array will have his ultimate and still won't. He won't be able to rotate. He won't be able to get that shield slam and try get that aggression Nettle do want to get.
Now we've got a very strange setup here. Nettle are prioritizing the levels on Ronnie after that terrible start. He's going to be soloing against It's Array, and he's probably going to find things very difficult pretty soon, as that's sort of the Kwang is going to start hurting quite a bit. And they've actually put Ablapiha and Emrak on the mid lane. Can you find any kind of reasoning behind this decision?
The reasoning behind this is they really wanted to try force Ronnie Tube to get to 5 a lot quicker, but it looks like...
Alright, well, the Hoarfrost goes out on the Emrak, and Eisen is going to chase him down. I don't really see him getting the kill here, especially with the blue buff on Emrak, but he is backpedaling here, and Talkflip comes in with the landmine. They're pulling Emrak back, and that seismic assault is not going to be enough to keep him alive, as Oxygen EU find another smash and grab back on the Nerf. He's taking a huge amount of damage underneath the tower. Klinghoffer in the middle of it all, but Nerf is eventually going to die with Pachapa's blades. And Klinghoffer, he just needs to stay alive right now. It's a bloodbath in the mid lane, and these guys are going at it just this entire time, with Eisen getting involved quite early.
The prioritization on these kills is actually going to matter quite a bit. Emrak dying, not being able to gain much, actually puts him really far behind on that Sparrow. You can see the difference. Talkflip has managed to grab 2 of those kills as a mid laner. Klinghoffer has an assist, but he's still able to sit there and farm, whereas Emrak isn't able to farm.
Yeah, it's just so strange putting two of your farm priority heroes in the mid lane. You're losing out on both levels as well as farm, as you can't really get it on both of them at the same time. And they are going to try to chase Oxygen EU away from the river area. Talkfoot possibly a little bit caught in, does have that landmine up, but he's going to be pulled back with a smash and grab. He's going to knock himself back, but Pachapa still following him out here. Big Daddy Nerf trying to help him out. He's going to put that shield out on the Talkfoot, making him move faster as well as stay alive there. So they've not really put a whole lot of pressure on the Quinn with the rotations coming in, and he's going to get some fast levels here, which, as we talked about earlier, is going to lead to a fast long arm of the wall from him, and he is going to be able to help out quite a bit across the map once Eisen gets those levels up as well.
Yeah, we can see the differences slowly creeping in terms of the way the lanes have set up. It's allowed Klinghoffer to sit there, get quite a bit more farm. He's already 8 CS ahead of Emrak in the early stages of the game. Obabia does have 4, so it's about 4 difference. But if we include the difference when there's 2 people in the lane and it's not 100% B game.
Oh, landmine back on the Ababia, but the follow-up isn't really there. Emrak just sitting on the high ground, and he's dissuading any kind of engagement on the mid lane as... Okay, I'm starting to see how they're playing this. So Abapia, most of what he's doing is going around to secure some buffs, keep Emrak safe in the mid lane. So a mid lane Bellica support. It's a little bit strange, honestly.
It's kind of the reason I think they've done this is the fact that Bellica has that drone which drains a lot of mana against a spell heavy oriented team like Oxygen's with the Muriel, with the Quang, with the Howitzer, all incredibly spell-based heroes. Bellica can get a lot of damage on her ultimate, even though she doesn't have that much card power.
Yeah, she, I guess, is one of those heroes that doesn't really benefit as much from the card points, although I'm sure that Ramriddles would probably disagree with that since he just loves to farm on pretty much every single hero that he plays. But I'm pretty confident that Abla Piha knows what he's doing with this one, and you see him rotating over to the right side now. So this is basically the get levels lane if your name is Nettle, because once RaniTube gets up to level 5, which he does have now, they're going to rotate Abla Piha over and start to put the priority on him. And I like how Nettle are doing this. They get that fast level 5 on the support, which is something that a lot of supports are very unselfish. They're not going to go for early, and now you just have a steal with an ultimate that's able to put some huge pressure on the map.
Yeah, I think it was a change in plans after RaniTube did get those first 2 early deaths. Because of that, he wasn't around to farm the first couple of minutes because of the consistent fighting that was happening. So they went, let's switch it out. Let's put him in that lane, get him to 5. Put Bellica a little bit further behind in terms of levels won't be too big because we can now rely on this steal ultimate to win our fight.
Well, it definitely is a good strategy, and we see it coming into fruition here as Eisen gets hit with a shield slam, and he's going to try to get that glacial charge out. Nice dodge with the frozen simulacrum, if you can even say that right in a fight. But RaniTube, they capitalize on top of that early level 5 on the steal, and they get a fast kill on the Eisen, delaying his impact on the game. And you can see just how effective this is going to be, because every cooldown now, RaniTube is going to have that up, and that plays even further into Nettle's fighting style.
Yeah, it's perfectly fitting into that early game aggression that they love to do. Overpier's gonna be happy just to sit in this lane. He's not gonna be put under too much pressure from Itzure, even though there is a level difference there. So it's in Nettle's favor here. This switch up means that Emrak still gets to sit in that mid lane. Now he has a steal there to protect him instead of a Bellica.
A steal that's actually useful.
Yeah, because steal, kind of the main reasons you don't see him support a lot is you don't get to actually pressure that tier 1 tower too much. Steel doesn't offer that much in terms of being able to pressure it. Only has the bull rush, which most of the time will protect the offlaner. So the offlaner can get a lot of free farm, and it makes sense to have Steel switch around, get that ultimate, then become the support.
Exactly. Now we see a bit of a different strategy from Oxygen EU, as they do have Nerf hanging out in the lane against Nick Eagle. They do a ton of damage to him, slowing him down with that ability as well as Nick Eagle. He is very low on health. Also in the mid lane, Talkfoot, he's just hanging out here. Landmine into a Horrorfrost, and the cryo out into RaniTube as well. But here comes the shield slam. Once again, they use basically everything on top of RaniTube, and they're not even going to find that kill. Talkfoot in a huge amount of trouble. Warlord's challenge in from Pachapa, and they're going to get that kill as well. They just turned around down on the top foot. Now the tower is about to fall in the left lane, and I don't really see Nick Eagle being able to defend this for much longer, but we do have a rotation in from Nerf to the mid lane, just maybe getting a little bit of farm, also helping out Eisen a little bit as they try to stay safe against the Sparrow. But you can just see how every single cooldown, and in the early game, they're going to be pretty fast for the steal to get that ultimate out and change the direction of fight so much.
I completely agree. If you saw that last fight, Ronnie Troop timed his steel shield slam right as the Aurora tick was going to happen on the freeze. Steel's ult cannot be stopped. So once it happens, nothing can stop it, and he counteracted the Aurora ult with the steel ult, which I really liked.
Yeah, it's just knowing your mechanics there. And they capitalized on it pretty much with another great rotation from Pachapa, which is something we've seen so much of from him this event.
Yeah, he's always been at the right place at the right time during this tournament. There to sweep up, take the kills, even if his team has fallen down, making all the trades at least an equal trade, so it's a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-2. Because he shows up late, the Grux, when there isn't any CC, can wreak havoc among the enemy team.
Yeah, he just does so much when he's able to like get that off without any kind of control from the other team. And like I said, they used every single thing on top of the steal, and they couldn't even get the kill there. He just comes in with a slam and immediately turns thing around. So if we take a look at our farm real quick, we do have it pretty even at this point. And this was a Nettle squad, remember, that yesterday kept up with Oxygen NA, even when they were getting the ganks in, which is something we haven't really seen from a team as of late. But we do have a rotation out on the Nick Eagle. Horfrost is going to hit onto him, and the Consecrated Ground. I don't see a Sevarog being able to get out of this one. Maybe puts out as much damage as possible. That is the Subjugate, but his death is going to end up happening anyway as they come over to Klinghoffer's lane, and they have a little bit of a party there, and they do the skadoosh to the Sevarog.
Yeah, just missing that Colossal Blow, making it just a little bit trickier for him to get out. Horfrost negating that dash coming out from Sevarog, and strong gank coming out from Oxygen here, just trying to claw back sort of the first couple of kills that went against them with Ronnie Tube's ultimate. And as we can see, on the board, four kills each. A few more assists on Oxygen. You can tell by the way they play, they group up a lot more. And the card points are still fairly equal across the board. Klinghoffer sitting slightly ahead at 15.
Yeah, we're only separated by about 6 minion kills, and that just translates to teams being so close together. And one of those things that can start to create a little bit of a difference is the Raptor camp. So we haven't seen too much aggression around it. We do have Oxygen with quite a few wards around that place, but Itzure hasn't really rotated. He'd definitely be instrumental in taking it. Also, Murdoch, not really known for getting a fast Raptor play.
No, Murdoch isn't the quickest at taking Raptors, but neither can Nettle just rush it. Nettle rushing it, because it's such a good choke point before they've managed to get Purity Sensors on the board to handle Aurora. Isaac can go in there, use that cryo along with Top Flip with Make It Rain, and can wreak havoc among Nettle. So they're not going to want to just go for it just yet. They're going to try get another pick with that Steel Shield Slam, then go for that Raptor when it's a lot safer for them.
Well, rushing in seems like it would be exactly something that Nettle would do, since they are the Russians. And that deserves no response as we get back into the mid lane. Rotation in from Pachapa, perhaps ready to put some more damage out on the top, but just waiting for him to get into a bad position. But Eisen's just sitting here as well, and he's ready with some D words. He doesn't really want to take too much damage, puts out the Hoarfrost, and it's going to ward off Pachapa a little bit. But Pachapa, very dangerous, and he's going to force Eisen off of it. And he's probably going to get 2 wards out with this one. And that's just one, as one was the Simulacrum, which also has a health bar.
River buffs are spawning soon though, so both teams going to be looking to try grab the little bit of an advantage. It is going to be the red and the purple buff.
Oh, on the mid lane, Talkfoot, he's getting some huge damage out on the Emrak, but the shield slam comes through ROF, but it doesn't matter at all. Nerf cannot save his buddy Talk, and he's going to be in the middle of 2 heroes right now, running to put down the shield, but Nerf is going to be able to get away from it. Eisen is invisible. Can he get anything off here? It doesn't really even seem like it would be worth it, as Nick Eagle, he got out of that one. Emrak seems fine as well, and Eisen, his opportunity for aggression is going to cease here on the mid lane. Or is it? He's going to come in from the side. thinks about going on to these heroes. He has maybe a little bit of backup. Might think about it on the Emrak. There's not a whole lot of support. He's going to go for it. Here he goes with the cryo. The arrows get dropped. Oh my god, the camera. Where did it go? Aizen underneath the tower kills off Emrak, but I don't really see him getting out of this one. Oh, but the consecrated ground. The heals. The shields from Nerf. Aizen, he's going to try to walk out of this one. Is he going to make it? RaniTube chasing him down, but he's not going to find him at all. Aurora's just too damn skinny for him to hit. And Aizen gets out with the plays, killing Emrak and getting out with his life.
Using that purple buff in the last few seconds before it timed out, just to get onto the tower. Also using the clone from Aurora, just
oh no, Abapiha in some trouble as well. He's got the drone down, but Takfu is putting some huge damage onto him, and he's gonna get hit with the seismic assault and the void bomb. Abapiha getting away, taken very low, but there's no long arm of the wall this time in order to get that Belka down. So Abapiha stays alive for the moment.
What looked to be a great Nettle play turned out that it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, I think, in the end, with Emrak just falling to Aizen right at the end. Really strong play from both teams. Still incredibly close in terms of card points, in terms of farm, in terms of levels. I mean, we can see Nettle trying to force the advantage with the Steel Shield Slam, but then Oxygen always being able to come back and take a reverse kill and equalize basically. Just they can't do anything else after that.
You can see Ronnie trying to scout out the buffs here as he does see the red buff taken by Big Daddy Nerf, and it's still what seems to be a pretty calm game from both sides. Most of the action happening in the mid lane, and it's all around RaniTube, as we say and have said for most of this match. He's gotten that fast ultimate because of the time that he spent in the right lane. As Abapiha takes that priority there, but then once they get the steal up to level 5, they're doing so much around the map, and it's really led to most of this early aggression from Nettle.
One thing we haven't also been speaking about is Nick Eagle playing the Sevrog in the offlane. Not where you see Sevrog a lot of the time. The main reasons you don't see Sevrog in the offlane is he does fall behind on stacks in the early stages of the game, can't get too much farm. However, Nick Eagle been able to farm freely this entire game, has got that 20 stack, and
oh, he's going to get into it right now. Klinghoffer is going to get hit with the subjugate, but here comes the ROF, and they want to try to turn it on to Nick Eagle. There's not a whole lot of help from there. There is a fight going down in the mid lane, and Nick Eagle taken very low. He's probably going to end up dying. Meanwhile, at mid, we've got Talkflit and Big Daddy Nerf getting away from, well, actually, that's Aizen getting away from a little bit, as Nerf was able to save Murdoch in the other lane. We've also got a bit of a fracas on the right lane, as Itzray, he's taken out the drone of Abapiha and continues to lose a bit of mana here. Doesn't really want to get into it too hard, but here comes Aizen in from the side. Abapiha knows to get away. The sword does hit, but they don't really decide to go for that one, especially with Pachapa looming on the sides.
Itzray doesn't have enough mana to go on to that fight. I mean, we also saw Nick Eagle struggling with that Colossal Blow. Yet again, has missed a second Colossal Blow, partially due to the Reversal of Fortune. It's one of those things, you can't take a 1v1 fight when you know Reversal of Fortune on Mural is up.
Oh, you can tell that RaniTube wants to do some damage here, but he's going to get hit with the landmine. Doesn't actually knock him off of that cliff, but he's backing up anyway. And, you know, Talkflit is doing as much harass as he can. Now we've got a Horfrost on the 2, and the Cryo is there as well. RaniTube in with the ultimate out onto Aizen, but the Long Way of the Wall is going to clean up that steal, just wipe his blood right off of the pavement there. And Oxygen EU, they get into the fight, and they quickly get out with 1 kill.
It looked like Aizen is at the right place at the right time at this point at that time in the game. Look at the vision on both teams. Oxy EU control that part of the river. They know exactly who's there. They don't have deeper vision, but they also know that they can burst someone down because they have long arm of the law and get out. Because Aurora, one of her the main things, one of the banes of her existence is the fact that she can get away from pretty much anything. So she can go in and just escape fairly safely.
Yep, balanced hero there. Well done with making the hero very strong, able to get out of most fights and do some huge damage. So you can be very aggressive on Aurora just to go in for a lot of those kills, and you just see her solo defending the right lane from a couple of heroes that were staring down her. Now maybe we see a couple of lane rotations. Got Klinghoffer, he's starting to hang out near the jungle, near the mid lane. He's not really seen too much pressure here. He's 3-0-1, can easily get involved across the map with the long arm of the wall. You'll need some communication there in order for the team to do well. Now, still no Raptors being taken. We've got 3 spawned right now, and we've actually missed one of the spawns, or actually the teams have, on the way, so maybe not getting the most effectiveness out of it. But the thing is, you don't really want to take a bad fight around the Raptor pit, especially when you have a hero like Steel or Aurora able to come in and just wreak havoc on the team.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's looking like a bit of a stalemate here from both sides. Oxygen slightly ahead now, with Klinghoffer sitting at 27 points, a couple of points ahead of Emrak here in the early stages, because he's been allowed to farm in this lane by himself, and he has that long arm of the law, which has secured him 3 kills and given him that advantage.
Talkfoot getting a little bit of scouting done, and he is hanging out. Oh, no, he's right next to Nick Eagle, and they see each other. They're both in the shadow plane, and in the shadow plane means that they become very fast friends there. Aurora hanging out on the high ground. Aizen playing with the vision right now, and he sees a couple heroes on the mid lane. May choose to go in, but Pachapa is going to scout him out. Aizen knows that he has to get away right now, and he's going to be able to. He's not really in too much trouble there, but they are going to go for an initiation. Nick Eagle ready for a subjugate, but easily dodged by Aizen. That really did not have any chance of hitting, unless Aizen was just falling asleep or something. But we do see a rotation in from Klinghoffer possibly. He's going towards the jungle, probably just wants to get some farm on here, as there wasn't really a whole lot developing on the mid lane. Just wanted to be ready for his team in case some kind of engagement was going down.
Again, nothing much is happening, but the thing is, Nettle don't have to actually force anything just now. They have a Sparrow and they have a Sevrog in a lane now where he's able to just get a bunch of stacks. You can already see the shoulder pads. They're growing. They're going to American football level shoulder pads right now. They'll grow slowly as the game goes, but he's allowed to just sit there and farm for free.
Let me tell you, it's not about the pads in football, it is about the bodies. They are some hugely massive guys. They're basically rhinoceri, if that's even a word, in suits. And here comes the gank onto Itzaré. There can be a smashing around, pulling him back right into the middle of a seismic assault, but the RF is going to keep him alive, and Apapia, oh no, that's not a sword going to hit. They're just going to be able to try to chase him down, but it's kind of fruitless at this point. They really need to be able to hit their abilities, but what they are doing is creating space for the mid lane, as RaniTube hit with the landmine. Aizen in with the glacial charge. He wants to get further in here. He's going to get that cryo onto RaniTube, and RaniTube is going to be able to get away. Was that a purity sensor? Taken very low with the long way of the wall, but he is not going to end up dying right now, as Talkfoot may be looking for more aggression, but he's going to be hit with the smash and grab, and he's in a lot of trouble right now. His team backing up, so they're going to keep him safe, as neither team really wants to get too hard into it. Aizen without a cryo is going to keep Pachapa in the middle of that Horfrost, and here comes that Warlord's challenge. You challenge me, I challenge you. Pachapa, he is going to get the smash grab and win that one versus Aizen. Shield going to be a little bit late from nerf, and it wasn't on the money either. So that is going to be a fight that Pachapa, the master of the duel with maximum disrespect, is going to win.
Even though Pachapa had lower health, Aurora had already used Horfrost and the Cryo. That is her 2 main damaging abilities that are already out. Pachapa getting those bleed stacks onto Aurora meant he just takes a really straightforward 1v1. Also, it was a purity sensor that was out from RaniTube. He did grab it incredibly early into this game to try and negate the effectiveness of Aizen on that Aurora.
And it works. Like, he was able to set that up for his team, didn't end up dying, which he most certainly would have if he got hit by the brunt of that cryo and the long arm of the wall. He got taken very low regardless, but with that purity sensor, able to stay alive, and we're starting to see some play around the Raptor pit from Nettle. They're not getting it quite yet, and Emrak's going to teleport away from there, so they're not going to try to go for those, and thusly we're going to see these teams continue to be very close.
Yeah, Emrak just a bit too low on mana, not too safe. It had been scouted out. You can see Nerf just sitting in that river, just seeing that they were going to start it, and Nick Eagle just trying to hop onto Klinghoffer. Not able to really get much as Sevrog this game. Nick Eagle, 2 deaths, 26 points, isn't behind that far on points, but hasn't been able to have a great impact this game.
Yeah, he hasn't had too big of an impact, but remember that he does get more effectiveness from getting those stacks up, so when he may not be ahead on card points, he could be possibly a little bit more even with the effectiveness of those stacks as he builds them up throughout the game, and he does have a little bit better scaling than most heroes here.
Yeah, that's the thing. The late game scaling coming out from Nettle is insane. Sparrow late game can duel a Murdoch incredibly easily and can take out mid laners with just the amount of poke coming out from that piercing shot.
Do have a rotation in from Big Daddy Nerf, and he's just really here to protect Klinghoffer from any kind of aggression that could result. Nerf can kind of just sit wherever he wants on the map right now. He can always ROF as long as it's not on cooldown, so he's got pretty free reign. Just needs to make sure that he keeps those levels going here, and Kling starts to get aggressive onto Nikki. Will hit with the subjugate, and the Consecrated comes out from Nerf, but it's not really needed too much here. Nick Eagle only putting some harass onto a Kling that was being kind of aggressive there.
Yeah, we can see now the way the game is shaping up, and just as I said that, Aizen trying to get that pick on Nick Eagle is incredibly hard to actually take out Sevrok. If Sevrok knows the gank is happening, he can Phantom Rush straight out, put himself in an incredibly safe position. And talking about safe, Emrak going for that, has that Blink Charm now set up on his build, and is going for the early game damage over crit build on the Sparrow, which means that piercing shot is going to hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Emrak has gone for a blink pretty early here. It's interesting against an Aurora. Perhaps he just trusts his team a little bit much here, but we do have a bit of a fight. Aizen getting aggressive, and the ROF is going to go out into Pachapa. They want to take that Grux down, and they are going to be able to with that rocket coming in from Talkfoot. Nice shield slam on the 3, but Nick Eagle, he's been stuck out here, and the damage is pretty big from Oxygen. Ryan getting low. He's way too far in here, surrounded by a lot of heroes, and eventually Aizen's going to find that kill. 2 down on the side of Nettle, and we've also got Itzray wanting to get involved in this fight. We've got 5 heroes from Oxygen on the mid lane. They look to be ready to push.
We could see the reasoning behind that Blink Charm in that fight from Aizen. It does, I mean, from Emrak, it does allow him to survive. His team were not able to really do much, but Overpeer is going to get the trade on the towers. But Oxygen straight up into this tier 2.
Yeah, with so many members down, as well as the Steel Slam, they are going to knock back Nick Eagle and just swung out of the park there. Klinghoffer able to find that kill and the tier 2. This is just a cascade of events that it doesn't look like Nettle are going to be able to control it all. They've got a huge wave in the mid lane for Oxygen and EU, and they want to go for the inhib right now.
Overpeer just a bit slow on the rotation, isn't going to be able to defend that. Emrak does go and fall, and this is going to be inhib straight to Oxygen EU.
And Oxygen EU, they're just playing underneath that drone. They take down the inhib. Talkfoot may be left out a little bit much here. His team doesn't really have anything to try to slow him down. Look at that Belka ultimate nearly taken out. Pachapa, he's going to get a kill here. Talkfoot has no way to be able to run. He's just going to go into timeout, going to stare at the corner. Looks like his mother told him to go and take a break because, well, he's going to have about 55 seconds in the timeout chair as he waits for a respawn.
Really strong play coming out from Oxygen. They got a few picks. They didn't go to the Raptors. They're like, we know that there's still one Raptor left up, but let's just keep pushing and see what we can get. They've managed to get a pick onto Nick Eagle, who was sitting under the tower. They then get Emrak in a scale. Like, it's just one after the other, constantly dying here from Nettle, which allowed Oxygen to really push this really strong advantage.
And they took an inhib down after a series of events that just absolutely decimated Nettle. They lost a couple of heroes near the Raptors, and they lost another one trying to defend a tier 2, and then they lost another one trying to defend an inhib. It was just a situation where the communication wasn't there about what they wanted to defend and how they were going to do it, and you've got to watch that engagement distance all the time if you're playing against excellent players like both of these teams are.
Yeah, completely agree. Overpeer rotated really late in that fight. You can see the difference in when they started to rotate. Itzray was there a lot sooner. And it looks like Aizen is trying to find another fight here. Don't think he's going to be able to find anything at this point. But mid lane also isn't the worst inhibitor to drop. Nettle can consistently push that out when any other objective is there to be contested. They can push it out, go to Orb Prime fairly easily. The travel distance isn't too far. So they're still in this game, but the card levels are where the main issue is here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a little bit of an advantage being brought up for Oxygen U. We've got the 404 error on Klinghoffer. That's his KDA so far. And he's been getting involved where he needs to, getting a ton of farm, sitting at 43 card points so far. And this is a Murdoch that Nettle absolutely have to be careful of. Itzray just going ham against the Void Drone. And he's putting some damage in against his tower. And he's going to have a little bit of help with it soon. Talkfoot going underneath the tower a little bit. They're just basking under its rays right now. As Klinghoffer, he's staring down Pachapa a little bit here, just hanging out near the fog wall. They got to take care of that minion wave. They want to put a lot of damage out here. Pachapa with the charge in. That's a Steel Slam only onto its ray, and he's taking a huge amount of damage here. They don't get the ROF onto him either. They put it out on the talk because I guess Nerf really doesn't care if its array dies at all. Here comes the Cryo out in the Ronnie tube. They're going to be able to kill him here as it's a 1-for-1 so far with Emrak still pushing in the mid lane, but I don't really see him getting a whole lot of damage done there. Blink forward by Talkfoot. He wants to go into Oblipia, and that's a nice stasis gem, keeping him alive a little bit longer, but it's not going to be helping him out for long as the concentrated ground. The Hoarfrost, that Oblipia Belka has nowhere to go. Another kill for Oxygen and EU, and Nettle are crumbling right now.
Yeah, that stasis gem doesn't particularly help him too much in that scenario. It ends up just allowing Oxygen to catch up to him and then save all their spells for when he comes off, not allowing him to get anywhere. He does end up falling. Oxygen, you do take another tier 2 tower off of that trade. It was a 2-for-1. I mean, its array does fall down.
Oh, Aizen, he's gotten the Cryo out in the Nikki and it doesn't get Purity censored off, but Emrak is able to find one of the kills. Aizen being blocked out by Pachapa as well. He's got to get away. Glacial Charge. He's not going to be able to get it off. Here comes Emrak with the damage. They want to chase this down. Nettle coming back into this one in full force, taking a huge amount of kills on Oxygen EU. Pachapa once more. Pachapa wants to get a ward. Pachapa wants to do something else here because he smells blood and he wants to make him bleed even more as the Grux is going to teleport back. And you thought that with that, perhaps Nettle can go for a play like the OP. They only have about 40 seconds to do so with a few of those Oxygen heroes down now.
It's still incredibly risky to go for that Orb Prime. Yes, they can go as 5, but a few of the members were down. Emrak's ultimate was also down on that Sparrow. I mean, they don't have vision, and Howitzer is still up. Talkfoot can just drop a Make It Rain around that Orb Prime pit, making it incredibly difficult for Nettle to take. I feel like they're just going to take these kills. They're going to take the points where they can. Push out this mid lane, try get some vision back in their side of the map, gain control of their own jungle, and then hover around this Orb Prime.
If you are watching the stream, I am aware of any lag that might be happening. I'm checking the numbers constantly, so I know that it's going on, and unfortunately, every single solution that I tried is not working, so I'll keep an eye on it and try to come up with a solution, as we do have Talkfoot coming in with the Orb Prime take over Nettle. There's a Steel Slam onto its right. Poor guy, but he's going to get hit with the consecrated ground, and they're keeping him safe here, as they do have the OP for this fight. Talkfoot nearly killed. In fact, he is, so he's not going to have that Orb Prime any longer, but Aizen, alright, knocked back a little bit. Emrak is just trying to do some man mode damage here. Aizen trying to stay alive, smash and grab out onto its right. Is Nettle going to come on top here? Its right is going to die, but Klinghoffer finally arrives. And Klinghoffer is going to go in here. Void Bomb drop down. Oh, Seismic Assault is going to keep him out for a little bit longer, but Klinghoffer wants to keep going. Nerf chasing him down, but he's out of mana. And, well, distracted for a couple seconds, but Klinghoffer, he still has that Prime on himself, and Abba Piha still wants to go away from this minion wave, trying to take out the buff, and he's going to run even faster with that blue buff.
He should be able to get away if he does manage to juke out Klinghoffer. I mean, what a play from Talkfoot. Not only does he secure the Orb Prime right there, he gets it onto all 5 of his team as they spawned, which meant that Oxygen now have Orb Prime. They have an inhib already down. They only lose 2, but that's not going to be the end of the world. They have an Orb Prime on Klinghoffer and on Aurora.
Yeah, so they still get their Orb Prime on themselves, and it's not just, well, they should... whatever. Do they get it on the minions? Just tell me that.
The minions will be there on a couple of the heroes, but, you know, it's more the fact that, I mean, Aizen at this point actually should really look to recall instead of taking this jungle. Needs to try get his health and mana pool back up and try and push for this next fight while they still have Orb Prime on 3 of the guys.
And they definitely can do some big damage with Kling having that Prime buff, but they need to find a situation where they're able to take a fight. And they found a couple of openings against Nettle in this game, and they have capitalized on them pretty well, which is definitely a huge thing for Oxygen. And that's leading them to a couple of these other plays, that beautiful Orb Prime steal, and also taking the inhib earlier this match. They've made the plays that they need in order to win this match, but there's just one more thing to check off of that list, and that is actually win the match. So they've still got a couple of plays here to make, but they put themselves in a pretty good position to be able to do so.
Yeah, they've pushed out this mid lane, just forcing that wave out. I mean, Nick Eagle can't really do much with Nerf here. I mean, Nerf is going to sit here and push and then still be able to join his team. Nick Eagle won't be able to kill him. And we're seeing this inhibitor pressure right now.
I think that Cryo is going to, I believe, get cancelled, but the Hoarfrost is going to hit onto a few. Nerf stuck in the middle with the 8 ROF, and that inhib does die. Make It Rain drop down. Not a whole lot of control around it, but that long Myrtle is going to kill off Ronnie Tube. Here's a blink in from Aizen. He wants to get more off here. Stasis Gem on Apopia, keeping him alive for a little bit longer. It's Rage. It's just going to smack him with the sword, and that's one dead from Oxygen EU, but there's going to be, even more pretty soon. MRAC. They could go for the core right now. Oxygen, you take the full advantage out of that fight one. Nick Eagle is going to try to do some damage to Klinghoffer, pushed away with the shield, and he has gotten the subject gate, taking some damage there, and he's going to swing and kill off Kling, but I don't know if it's going to matter at all. Oxygen EU going for the core, and they should be able to take it right here. Nick Eagle trying to be the hero, taking heroes down left and right, but Big Daddy Nerf does the damage that he needs to, and he'll kill off the core in game 1 of this best of 3.
Really strong, aggressive play from Oxygen. They saw their advantage and they went straight for it. That Orb Prime steal coming out from top split being huge right there for Oxygen allowed them just to get that extra push they needed to take down that core. Nick Eagle didn't see him around the map too much, didn't have much of an impact, always seemed a bit slow on the rotations. Granted, he was being pressured by Nerf, but it was an inevitability. This is the issue with a Muriel that's actually really far ahead. She can sit in that offlane and push, and you have to send someone to respond, or you're going to lose that side of the map. And we could see the fact that Nick Eagle wasn't able to rotate across. It meant that Oxygen just had a much stronger fight.
Yeah, Nick Eagle, it seemed like all he wanted to do on the Sevrog was just farm and get the stacks up. He had to deal with Klinghoffer quite a bit that match and wasn't really able to get a whole lot of help. It seemed like Nettle, they prioritized firstly getting levels on Ronnie, which helped them greatly in the early game, and then focused a lot on the mid lane. But Nick Eagle, it seemed like he was more left off on his own, got into a couple of fights, but he just had to focus so much on his lane. There wasn't a whole lot of help there at all. So yeah, his involvement is definitely something that could be improved in game number 2. And that's a good point as well. Nettle, they do have a chance to come back here. They're just down 1-0 in this best of 3. So they're not knocked out just yet. They still have a lot of noise to make here in the PCL semifinal. And we will have another semifinal for you guys later. But any other final thoughts on that match, Gems?
I really liked what Nettle did with their drafting composition. I'd like to see them stick with it. I felt like they had a few issues with the execution, a couple of people getting picked off here and there, but their comp had the right idea in what it wanted to do. Oxygen capitalized incredibly well on the mistakes of Nettle, taking that Orb Prime, as I mentioned before, taking a couple of early game kills in the jungle, incredibly well played there, putting Ronchu behind, forcing that awkward lane switch up from Nettle.
Yeah, so they're going to have to try to fix a couple of those errors, make less mistakes, which is sometimes the name of the game here in Paragon. Sometimes you just have a team that is mechanically better, or sometimes it's those small mistakes that end up in an inhib being taken. So we'll have to see how it works out in game number 2 for these guys. But we're still waiting on a draft and a replay ID for that one. So we'll go to a quick 5-minute break, guys. We'll be right back with some more PCL EU action and the best hairline in the business. Stay classy, guys.